Hi, hello. We are so excited. That caught us off guard there. We are so excited to bring to you today another GoTo Pro Business Series with Jeff Shackelford of Digital Sandbox. And today, thanks, Jeff, for being here today.
Glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, and I apologize for the delay. You know, the wonderful thing about doing things live is if you have a technical issue and you're offline, we've talked so much, and I think we've actually gone through the whole presentation.
This is why we recommend to people not to do a live demonstration as part of their pitch.
Right.
You never know.
You never know. So thank you to the audience for joining us. Thank you for the patience that you have out there. I want to invite you, if you're watching today's GoTo Business Pro or GoTo Resource Series with our Business Pro, that if you'd like to have, if you have questions, that you can please comment online. You'll hear a disembodied voice of Tom Lesnick, who's our executive producer today. With that question. Also, we have a live audience. So to the live audience, if you have a question as we are in this 10 or 15 minute conversation, then you're welcome to join us. Thanks to WorksLab for letting us host the conversation in WorksLab around their schedule. And so again, the GoTo Biz Pro series, we started this series as the Innovation Center and as the Independent CDC because we have great resources. We have a terrific ecosystem throughout the Kansas City region for entrepreneurs to start and build their business. But sometimes it's a little overwhelming. And we get questions all the time about where do I go for next. So we started this series just as an introduction to all of the entrepreneurs that are out there that want to learn more about the different parts of and pieces of. So we appreciate this. Your second time as a GoTo Pro with us.
I'm an old pro.
You're an old pro.
And I would second what we've seen through the company, through all the folks that we've had a chance to meet through the Sandbox, through Digital Sandbox. Those that use multiple resources have much higher probability of success. So I would encourage, or any early stage entrepreneur, don't be afraid to ask, hey, who can help me with this, or where would I go for that? I think all of us that kind of are in the ecosystem here metro-wide try to direct and connect people, because we do have a tremendous amount of resources. But if you're not completely familiar, it can be kind of staggering. Well, which one and where do I go? And I don't want to feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But I always encourage people, just speak up. There's somebody here that wants to help you.
Well, and that's as a resource provider, it's always interesting when we get the comment, oh, I didn't know they existed, or I didn't know you existed, because we are all in our own little world. Right. So we try as much to, and I so appreciate Digital Sandbox. Last year we created a formal alliance with the Independence EDC and the community to bring funding to entrepreneurs that are really willing to and have a good idea to start up and grow. And it's around our alliance is around tech space, and we also work with WorksLab to provide space, Digital Sandbox to provide money, and then the InTech program creates really a key element of service. So we're trying to approach this from a holistic perspective, and there are initiatives all across the Kansas City region that really are striving to make this an entrepreneurial community.
Absolutely, and it takes all of us across the big Kansas City, the big metro area, I think, to continue. We've had great increase in the volume of entrepreneurial activity. The challenge is we've got to keep raising that bar and moving forward. So it is a collaboration of, can we get all of our metro areas, on that same page moving forward to keep up the volume we're going to need to be America's most entrepreneurial city, right?
That's right.
That's what we ultimately want to be.
So we have a goal as resource providers to be that. But as the entrepreneur, they've got their heads down, they're rolling through, they're looking at, I've got an idea, how do I make this start? They start to connect. There's two things that happen there that I think are probably pretty critical to them. One, I've seen entrepreneurs that kind of get stuck in this research mode, and they get stuck in the ideation phase. The second is, so they've got to really work through the evolution of, I've got an idea, but how do it's really about execution. And so part of that is, where do I find money, and pitching to investors. Right. So there's been this big culture that's kind of arisen through the startup culture of the pitch. And a lot of times entrepreneurs look at the pitch as the end game. I've got a goal here, I've got something, this is an actionable task. It's really about taking your business to market, getting to that place. But the pitch is critical because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're pitching to Sandbox or they're pitching to an investor. Right. There are key things they need to know, and you're an expert at that. And that's really the what we want to come around today and talk about. What are the key elements to making a good pitch, and what are some of the pitfalls people get into?
Well, if you think about it, what's going to be contained in your pitch is sort of a microcosm of your business plan, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's got to be able to describe the entire business, the market that you're going after. You talk about some people get excited that the pitch is sort of some kind of an end game. It may be a milestone, but if you look at it from the Sandbox perspective, it's the beginning.
Right.
The way you start with us is you've got to come in and be able to do a 10-minute pitch. And so we run a how to pitch to the Sandbox class on those months that we're not seeing applicants. For instance, keep me honest here, I think it's June 14th. We're going to do a how to pitch to the Sandbox at the Sprint Accelerator.
As part of your first summer in the Sandbox?
Which we run all summer. So, if you think of the pitches, your ability, you got to have the ability to tell your story. And people kind of sometimes interpret story as it's this long, winding story. No, it's got to be short, clear, and concise, and it needs to have certain components. You talk about a lot of times what you hear us talk about Sandbox is what's the problem you're trying to solve. Yeah. So if you can start out by saying there's a known problem in the marketplace, and then how are you proposing to solve that, and how are you proposing to solve that and make money at that. So you talk about you'll hear us say, what's your business model? And what we mean is, how do you make money? Because if your definition of a hobby is you spend a lot of money and don't make any. And we tell people until you get a customer to pay for something, you have a hobby. But then if you've got something to pay. So there are boxes that need to be checked in any, if you will, in any pitch that you do for the Sandbox, for your first angel investors, maybe even for family and friends if they're kind of seasoned professionals in the business world. They'll want to see certain things. They'll want to see who is the team. And when we say that, I've seen people spend a great deal of time explaining to us that they went to third grade together. And you know what? Potential investors don't care. If you have a team, what you want to tell me is, what has that team, what have those individuals done that will give you some competitive advantage in the marketplace? What's
their piece of that that brings you to market? Right. So as they're coming to Digital Sandbox, it might be pre-formation of an actual legal business.
Absolutely.
But you have to understand that if you're pitching for even $5, you are in business. So that's you're trying to be. But as they come to, Digital Sandbox offers real cash money to a project to move the needle forward for the company. So the slingshot to that is you're either going into revenue or you're getting further capital investment. So as you go from a mindset of you're no longer in that research mode. You have to be in the mode of I am in business.
Right. We like to say until you get some early beta version built and hand it to someone who can use it, you don't really know what you have.
Right.
The fun starts when I hand you something and you say, look, it did this, but it doesn't do this. And if it could do that, it would be really important to me. And we try to help them get with our grants. We try to help them get at least that first beta version so you can get it into the hands of potential customers. Because they're going to really, that's the real world focus group, right?
Sure.
These are people you think are going to use, whether it's software or a physical product, whatever it may be. They're the ones that are going to use it. So they're immediately going to go, you know what, the handle on the cup needs to be on the other side for some crazy reason, but that's what you want to hear. Raising money, typically what you need are resources. Well, you need money to get resources, whether it's equipment, whether it's intellectual talent, whether it's coders, whatever it is, you need that money. So if you're going to need other people's money, you need to learn to pitch. There's no way to get, for the Sandbox, we give you 10 minutes uninterrupted, but that's it. We have a very good timekeeper, and they'll get a 2-minute and a 1-minute warning. And if you can't get
that's true, I've observed. So you've got to be prepared. It's that 10 minutes.
If you can't tell your story and kind of touch all the bases in 10 minutes, your time's up. Now we follow with 20 minutes of Q&A. So it's interesting if someone hasn't walked through how their revenue model, what we call, what do you charge, how much. So first question is probably going to be, explain to me your revenue model, right? And so you do have a chance in the Q&A to answer, but for folks who haven't done it, it's a little unnerving to step up and go, I've got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because when you're at home, 10 minutes seems like a long period of time. When you're sitting across from 6 people who are evaluating that pitch, 10 minutes goes by quickly, and you start to get a little nervous and start to ramble on, and then all of a sudden somebody says, oh, you only have 2 minutes? Well, I got 6 slides left. Well, that's not our problem.
Right.
So a lot of it is practice, and then practice some more.
Yeah.
Videotape yourself if you can.
Yeah.
Practice your pitch in front of people who will give you true and honest feedback versus, oh, that was terrific. No,
sure.
Some of the things we see when people get nervous, they'll have little tics. For instance, I think we had one who he got nervous, and when he would make a point, he would say, if you think about it, if you think about it, if you think about it. Well, after about 20 times, all I could think about was I'm supposed to be listening for him to say, think about it.
Yeah.
And you happen to know Rebecca. Rebecca finally, in this case, stopped and said, if you say, if I think about it one more time, my head's going to explode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that little nervous tick completely distracted all of us.
Yeah.
And people don't realize some of the things they do. They also get nervous and say things they don't mean. We've had people say, I'll try to dummy this down for you, which is a tad bit offensive if you think about it.
Because you're the investor looking at, and they didn't mean it that way.
They were nervous. It was a complex product, and they meant it. I'll try to put it in layman's terms, which might have been a better way to say that.
Sure.
So people, it's an experience that few people do, pitching for money. And you think about it in real life, very few people go pitch for money. So it's to expect people to be good at it without practicing is kind of unreasonable. And if you've never gone through it, it can be overwhelming. It can also be really tiring. I tell people, when you're going to raise money, it's going to take you twice as long as you think. So, we got a great story and everybody loves us, and we're going to raise money in 2 months. And, I see them and they're at 6 months going, how many people do I have to see? I don't know. You have to see. Until
you get that
until
one.
somebody writes a check.
Until they do it.
Right?
So, has it been your experience? So you talk about the 10 minutes with 20 minutes Q&A, but if you're in front of an investor, you have to look at every person that you're setting down to talk about your business as a potential investor.
True.
You have to have that mindset that I am in business, and that as I'm talking to you, that's you may have an interest in either buying my product, investing in my product. It's not to say that you should approach everyone as an investor and be ready for Shark Tank all the time. But when you think about it, you've got that 10 minutes in there plus another 20. That's not a typical investor pitch.
Yeah, it really depends. What we try to work with people is, the old saying, you have an elevator pitch, right? That you should get really, really, really good at that. And it should roll off your tongue. You should use it the same one over and over. Because I always give the example of, you start, Jeff's Company, and I get on the elevator and I have a shirt that says Jeff's Company, and there's a gentleman or a lady on the elevator with me who says, Jeff's Company, what's that? Yeah. You've got to be able, in that 30 seconds or so, to explain what that is. If you ask me, what's the Digital Sandbox? It's a proof of concept program to help early stage entrepreneurs move from idea to working prototype. I'll say it exactly the same way every time. If you can get your elevator pitch down, that person on the elevator might say, I'd like to know more about that. And you don't know who they are, right?
Make it compelling.
It could be, though we'd probably recognize him, but it could be Warren Buffett, who's just simply saying, I saw your logo. What do you do? And so you never know. It always seems to be the random contacts that end up being really, really productive. I love asking folks who've got in business, how'd you get here? The story's never linear. It's spastic. Someone told me to go here, someone told me to go here, I met this person here, I met that person there. And that's why I love to hear about them. Rarely is it, I planned step 1, I went to step 2, I went to step 3. Right. Raising money is a lot like that. And so anyone you talk to may not be an investor, but they may know somebody who says, I know a gentleman or I know a lady who plays in this space. You might want to get to, Joe Smith over there. Oh, hey, can you make the contact for me? Then you got to chase that one down.
And I the other day, we were having actually a session with another GoTo Pro. It wasn't a Facebook Live session, it was work with a client. And he'd made the point that as he is an investor as well, that he wants the 3-minute. I'll give you 3 slides in 3 minutes. You tell me, you compel me. At that point, if I have questions, then I'll take it further. And so I really appreciate when, you're so ingrained in your product, you're so ingrained in that idea, but there may be a time that you need to step further back from that and get on a higher level, just simply because it's a business. It's not all about that. So what are your big goals, knowing that, and then also knowing how you can get those from a business perspective, knowing your numbers, so you know how much money you're going to need to get there, at least because you're starting early stage idea and it's proof of concept. There's going to be a lot of changes along the way in that pathway. Absolutely. Like you said, it goes like this.
Absolutely.
But knowing that, knowing as much about your product and being passionate about it, I think are two key things to be able to roll through.
I think even people who have been in business 3, 4, 5 years would be a fruitful exercise for them to put together a pitch deck for their existing business. Because it does force you to look at your business in, again, kind of a microcosm of a business plan. What are the problems we're solving for our customers? What's our revenue rate and margins and so on? I mean, without getting into the granular, but you go through all the things to go, okay, are we a healthy business?
Sure.
And if you can't in 2 minutes or so, like I meet a lot of people, right? And if I'm a couple of minutes into somebody trying to tell me what they're trying to do and I don't get it, I mean, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I'm not stupid, and I'm like, okay, I don't get it, then you're not communicating very well. I happened to judge a contest a couple of days ago, and one of the pitches, I mean, they had I think 10 or 12 minutes. At the end of 12 minutes, those of us on the panel, 3 of us had the same question, like, what do you do?
Oh, yeah.
That's not good. Yeah. I mean, there were some really bright people on the panel, and to go 12 minutes and then still somebody goes, I'm still not sure what you do. Are you this? Are you this? Are you that? You've got to be able to really be clear about what it is you do.
So identify the problem, provide the solution, know what you do, know who you are and what you do, and then also know what you need to get to the next stage of where you're going to go.
I would add from the potential of attracting investment, tell me why your team has a competitive advantage in the marketplace.
Right.
Why are you the group that can pull this off?
Yeah.
Because that's right? There's a problem, you've got a solution, you've got a team. Why are you guys the one that can do it and somebody else isn't going to walk in here and do the same thing?
Oh, sure.
So that's your secret sauce.
And competitive advantage, I mean, is one of those things you always have to think about. As inventors, as producers, as business, we always think that our product, we have to believe that our product is the best product out there.
Well, because we thought of it, we think it's the greatest, right?
Well,
I mean, that's
true.
part of it. You get
right.
ingrained with, well, I thought of it, it must be the greatest, which is why I say, you can't sit in the room and polish the apple forever.
Yeah.
Hand it to someone, let them take a bite. They'll tell you whether it's good or not, right?
Yeah.
So get out there and don't be afraid of having, say, you know what? Because I've run into a lot of people who, I'm like, you've got 50 beta customers, but you're not charging anything. Why not? Well, we don't have all the features in there yet. We don't think it's right. No, ask them. Say, I want to charge you. That's when you really learn, right? Like people say, everybody I share my idea with loves it. I immediately say, then ask them for a check.
Yeah.
Then you'll get a real reaction.
That's right. That's revenue. You're in business.
I'm backing up, so. Anyway, I could talk about this all day.
So we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And
we do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Right.
We have a question.
Asking, should you pitch the full company or only the product?
It really depends on what state. Not knowing if you're an early stage startup, like we see a lot in the sandbox, your pitch is probably gonna focus around the product. If you're an existing company, maybe introducing a new product, you're going to want to spend some time sharing how'd the company get to where it is today, right? Because that's going to be part of your success story. We've been in business, we've got a company, we've been successful here, we've got a new product that we may be pitching to raise money for. Maybe it's a variation of an existing product. Most of the ones I see are very early stage. And so the pitch is going to be focused around the problem you're trying to solve, which is going to be focused around product.
So from that perspective, how do you, but at the same time you want to see financials. So the financials roll back up to the business. Right?
Absolutely. I wouldn't spend a great deal of time telling you if you're an early stage entrepreneur, what your company's going to look like in 5 years from an organization standpoint. We may ask, hey, you say you're going to have 100,000 active users. Who's going to do customer service? Who's going to do, but you can talk about that in Q&A. What we really want to see is, what is the problem? How big's the problem? Who has the problem? And you're solving the problem, but how are you going to reach them? And if you solve the problem, are you going to make money solving the problem? Yeah. So it really kind of focuses around product, the early stage stuff.
The early stage stuff does.
And that's kind of my world.
Oh, that's fantastic. So thank you to the audience for being here today. Thanks for the question. We appreciate it. This is available. You can go on the Innovation Center's Facebook page, on the Sandbox Facebook page, and watch at your leisure.
One last thing,
yeah?
if you want to get into pitch to Digital Sandbox
Yes,
coming
absolutely.
up for third quarter, get your app in by June 15th, and you'll be guaranteed a slot in our July-August presentations. If you're after June 15th, we can never promise. This quarter, we were overbooked, and so we had to push some people. So I would strongly encourage you to get your app in, and the wonderful Amy will get you scheduled. Also, if you can join, if you're going to pitch, if you want to apply, it would be great if you would attend the June 14th Sprint Accelerator. We will walk through what we expect to see, so you can at least know what to cover.
So again, we appreciate the partnership with the InTech program, with the Independent CDC, with Digital Sandbox and Works Lab, and look forward to this next round. You're still going through, and you're hearing right now, you're hearing pitches, so you're still going through that. It's a continual process. So
I think we've heard 24 or 25 this quarter alone.
That's
so there's
awesome.
a lot of great people, a lot of great ideas, a lot of good people. So, keep them coming.
That's right. And Digital Sandbox is a wonderful non-dilutive way
It's a grant.
to bring your tech idea, your tech product, or tech-oriented product. You've also got Energy Sandbox, which is a whole nother session we can talk about as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much to the audience for being here. Thank you for the questions that we had. And we look forward to the next time. Our next GoTo Biz Pro most likely will be next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We're going to be talking about making sure that you have, once you've started your business, making sure that you have the processes in place to handle payroll, to provide accurate statements for HR, and to know how to plan for those additional personnel as you're bringing them online. So thanks so much to everybody, and we'll see you next time.